Good evening, everybody, and thank you for joining me on this Sunday, January 21st of 2024. Uh, what a crazy past couple of days it's been. So much going on. Uh, let's see, we got Marjan is in here. We have Anan, OBG Foster. We just got some light flurries, nothing major going on around here right now. Jessica McDermott. Let's see. Just found your channel. Oh, well, thank you. Let's see. Bullet in the shoulder. Oh, a knife in the shoulder. But yeah, uh, bullets hurt a whole lot more, believe me. So, tonight I wanted to go over the LAPD and how they handled the whole incident with Aaron Smith Levin and just chime in and give you my thoughts on it. As most, if not all of you already know, retired police officer, 32 years, held pretty much every position that there was, held pretty much every rank, rising to lieutenant, deputy chief, and then chief of police when I finally ended my career as a law enforcement officer. So this is my realm, law enforcement. I have a crap ton of training. If you look at my certificates and training roster of everything that I've gone through as a law enforcement officer, literally it's hundreds of different certificates that I hold. So this is something, it's been a passion of mine. I loved being being a law enforcement officer. I love serving the community. I loved making the community a better place for my family and for the families in the community. So, but there is a thing, it's a tradition, and it's something that I love to do on here. And that is bring in my old pal. It's our channel's pal. He is the reigning, undisputed, unchallenged, unquestioned meteorological sensation from the Sunshine State. Please welcome Clearwater Chad.
Thank you,
Chad,
Poe.
what's going on, brother?
Great to be here. How you doing,
Give
Poe?
you a good intro this time,
That was great. I appreciate it.
And what is our weather report?
Okay, Poe. 23 degrees in Clearwater. The precip is at 5. The wind is at 11, and it's 73% humid, Poe.
Amazing. Well, let me take a look and see what we've got here in Michigan right now. I know that we're probably pretty close to 80, 85 degrees. Yeah, we're a whole 17 degrees here in Michigan. So, hey, we're doing great with that. So, what is it up in the Buffalo area of New York right now?
23.
23 degrees.
Yeah.
Wow, I can't believe you guys are actually warmer than us.
I know.
So, let's see. We've had a few people jump in since we started. A name. Hey, what's going on? Jessica McDermott, Daniel Sander, and looks like Laura Waldy. Welcome, welcome, welcome. As always. Oh, wait a minute. We've got Anan is in here also. Sharon Gregg. I want to make sure I don't miss anybody. MB826, Cast 1954. Let's see. And that looks like I caught up with everybody who's in chat with us. So, folks, if you have any questions, any comments, anything like that, please preface it with either question or comment in all caps, then take your caps lock off and type out what you want to. Please be respectful. Let's remember, we're trying to keep a community vibe going as we do this, and that's been one of the things that I've always wanted to do with my channel. Is I wanted to make sure that we brought a space where we can have open discussions and we can have open talk and not infighting, not all this twisted stuff that's been going on as of late. It's just not my thing. So let's see, what do we got here? We've had Robert Van Leer is in here. Welcome. I think did I say Daniel Sander was in here already?
Oh, I forgot. You didn't know.
Well, no matter what, Daniel, you're always welcome in here. Here we got our first question of the night from MB826. How much does training make a difference for law enforcement officers, or could it make a difference in this weekend? Well, it's very clear that there's been a lot of training that went on, and I'm going to go over part of what was seen in that video, the live stream that Aaron was doing, and there was a lot of question about something that the police had done and how that they were doing it. and I want to go over and I want to talk about that. Chetza, what's up? I see you. You're still riding my motorcycle there, are you? That's all right. I'll allow it. As we all know, our pal Ron Aaron Smith Levin was arrested in downtown Los Angeles. I've had people say, "Oh no, he wasn't arrested," and I don't know if I had watched the video earlier with Aaron where he was talking about the LAPD official statement on it. I am. I'm going to go by what I've seen from United States Supreme Court rulings. What they did with Aaron, placed him in handcuffs, double locked his handcuffs, searched him, placed him in a patrol vehicle, and drove him to the police department. Does that sound like being arrested to you, Chad?
I would say yes.
Well, the Supreme Court would agree with that. So let's see here. We have from Ananan. Question: what is your take on the LA cop, Timothy Tallman? The guy is scary. He's not scary. Walks around with sunglasses on all the time. And of course, he's got those tack type sunglasses. My wife, I've got a buddy who is actually he's kind of famous that he was one of the people who was advertising a brand of tactical glasses. And I was sent a couple pairs of them. I just didn't like wearing them. I felt like the kind of guy who drives around with a Punisher sticker on my truck window, and just the kind of folks that they get a pickup truck and they got to jack it up 8 feet in the air and they got to put the big tires on it. You know what? I'm 55 years old. I'm not into that stuff. Actually, I've never was into that tactical kind of look and feel. But to each their own. If that's how you are. So let's see. Saya's here. Ashley Jade. Rose Petal One Pincha. Well, mid Michigan here. Whereabouts? I'm down in the I-275 94 corridor there, where I'm at by Detroit Metropolitan Airport. So I want to talk about a few things going on with this. Number one is from the incident time when it happened. You see in Aaron's live stream that he was actually running over to another corner where he was going to meet up with the police, and the subject who is accused of being the attacker in this was already there talking to the police. So at that time, in that timestamp on the video, it actually is, I'm trying to get to the point on that so we have that up and ready to go. Make sure I've got it. Okay, so we're gonna take a look here at Aaron making his way on over. I want to make sure I've got everything just right. And he did a little shuffling around trying to get there and everything. But let's go ahead. I'm going to pull that up for you, and I'll show you the marker where Aaron actually arrives initially on scene where he deals with the police. So let's see here. We are there. Excellent. And this is from Ron's channel, Growing Up in Scientology. If you don't know it already, it's not that hard to find. But as you see over here on the right side of the screen, you see the Foot Locker logo up there, and you see that there's a crowd right here on the corner. And as he's making his way there, that's one of the things he's saying: get to Foot Locker, get to Foot Locker. So if we watch the timestamp down at the bottom, we're 1 hour, 11 minutes, 23 seconds into his live stream. All right. And this is where he initially makes the first attempt to go in and speak with law enforcement on this matter. Now, as you see at this point, the subject with the dog, the AKA Dog Man, is there, and he's already speaking with the police. So we think about that, and then we look at the fact that the time when Aaron is actually arrested, where they come up, they actually take him into custody, and they take him over and begin patting him down or searching him. And patting him down, I'm not saying is that they didn't search him. No, it's just a common term that we in law enforcement use as we're describing what we're doing. It's a pat down. So they put him up against the car. They're going through his pockets. They're doing a full pat. You could see, and we'll see that a little bit later on. as they're taking Aaron away, and I'm going to show you this in the live stream from Aaron's phone when he handed it off to someone else, you are going to see that during this time, Dogman is still over, not under arrest, is still standing there, and he, it doesn't look like he's under arrest at that point. It's not until you see them actually with Aaron in handcuffs and they're taking him directly to the vehicle that at that point it looks like Tallman is with Dogman and is taking him away at that point. I'm still looking for the video, and hopefully somebody will be able to shoot me an email with it or a message on Facebook as to the fact that the arrest of the gentleman with the dog. And someone commented they didn't like the fact I kept calling him gentleman. That's just how I speak, folks. I try to be respectful no matter what. It doesn't matter how I feel about someone. I always try to show some kind of respect or regard for people. And if you'll give me a second here, I'm trying to get through a lot of the comments here. Let's see. Cass 1954, Sacramento, California. Windy, 59 degrees. The rain is coming. Flood alert. Oh, is that kind of rare there? I know that like in L.A., the rain is extremely rare. I remember Leah Remini have freaking out because it was raining. Let's see here. We have Sharifa Dorder. Hi, sir. My first time here at your live. Thank you. Greetings from the Netherlands. Wow.
Oh.
Amazing. Now, tell us what kind of temperature you got there. I know we had Deviant in here the last night. Man. Let's see. The police talked with the person who had assaulted Aaron for at least an hour and never really talked to him. Watching back through the live stream, it seemed like the gentleman with the dog was the one who was getting all of the police attention. Marjan, let's see. Okay, he was in the Air Force, and he is the one who, and I have told him about Aaron, told him, yes, oh, thank you very much. Marjan's been here since day one of my channel. Has been she sends me a lot of links on videos, things like that. Don't apologize, Marjan. And this is a common thing that I'm hearing from a lot of people, is that they were very upset that Aaron was arrested before Dogman. I believe his first name's Perry. So One Love, what's going on? Do you think Dogman was randomly in that place and time? I do believe he was there to specifically cause trouble. You know what? From the statements I've gotten from a lot of people who were there with Aaron at that time, and then hearing from Aaron himself on it, I have the feeling that we have the accusations that he was in more than one such incident where there was a possible battery that had gone on and he was involved with it, and that he may, while my understanding is he's not a Scientologist, but he is someone who is friendly with the folks at the org there. It very well may have been that he was there as a plant, but who knows? I mean, it could have very well been one of those situations where things just worked out in the favor to get things done. There's a video of the guy with the dog, and Scientology members being very chummy. That, and there's also footage of him and the officers, and he's standing there with officers all around him, and they're talking, and you're going to see that in the live stream from Aaron's channel. Let's see. Yeah, I have to agree. They took Aaron before. Definitely. From everything that I saw, and I'm going to show you in the video, everything that I saw was that Aaron was arrested first. And I don't remember if L.A.P.D came out and in their statement said that Aaron wasn't arrested or if he was detained or whatever. But the general rule of thumb is if you're going to put somebody in handcuffs, put them in your car, take them to the police department, you are placing them under arrest. That's how I was trained in the academy. Oh, this is interesting. Streef Pip. There's also footage of Aaron encouraging people not to follow the guy. Excellent. There's so much information. Mountain Dew 136. How's it going? Thank you for coming in. Let's see. The fact that he threatened to kill Takei Aaron. He had five knives on him and the dog. Why wasn't he charged with more than assault? That's all going to come down to the detectives and the prosecutors. All right. In a perfect world, that would have all been taken into account. A couple of things that have to be looked at with it is we all know that the threat to Aaron was said after he'd already slapped the phone out of Aaron's hand, and the dog had gone at Aaron. All right, but the thing is, it was after had he made the statement. I know here in Michigan, this making the statement before you do something holds more weight than to saying it after. So, and the reason for that is you say it before you actually commit to the act, then that shows purpose. It shows premeditation. It shows that you intend on doing it. Saying it afterwards as you are grabbing the dog and walking away, that in itself, it kind of de-escalates the whole topic of it. Now, had he said that, turned around and come back at him, then yeah, there would have been more of a cause for it. Also, as for the point of the knives, and folks, please remember, I'm not coming at this as Aaron was wrong, this guy was wrong. What I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to show you how we as law enforcement have to look at things. All right, yes, he had the knives on him, but he at no point was he accused of pulling them out. And also, from my understanding, is that the knives that he had on him met California's law as to length and type of knife that they were. I agree. 5 knives on you at one point. I mean, how many different special trades are you into that you need 5 knives on you? I was talking and someone said, well, yeah, you say you have multiple knives on you when you're in your shop. It's not just in my shop. I go and do other things, and I'll have them with me. I always like to try to have at least one small folding pocket knife with me at all times. Marjan, question: can Aaron use all of the videos for his case? Also, should Aaron stop talking about the case if he's going to pursue litigation? The thing is that that's all something that an attorney is going to need to advise him on. I am not an attorney. I am not a legal expert. I mean, if we had the gentleman who's been doing a lot of shorts lately talking about the legal expertise of things, and I just saw one of his clips earlier today where he was talking about this. What's his name, Chad?
Is it my friend Zach?
No. There's another attorney.
Oh, there's another one. I'm not a friend of.
Yeah, you know him.
My personal friend Frank Amadeo says
Yeah.
that Aaron's going to win, and Aaron's going to own the whole city of Los Angeles after this is done, Paul.
Well, I seriously doubt that that he's gonna own the city of Los Angeles. I mean, honestly, these cities are insured, and they have there's no telling what will happen. What I know is that the majority of torts or actual lawsuits that are brought about end up settling before they go to court. Now, my personal beliefs in it, I don't see Aaron settling. I see Aaron taking the fight.
I'll go get Frank.
What do you think though? Before you head off, I mean, do you agree? Okay, he's going to get Frank Amadeo. Okay, hey John, so glad I caught the live question. What is my thoughts on dog being a service dog? Do you think he really is? There's no telling. There's also the question of, is that dog actually what's his name? Thank you, Rose Petals. Patrick Perry. He was walked to the car not in cuffs. That's interesting. Yeah, I didn't then that's the thing, is that there was a massive amount of cameras there. So there's so many different ones. I've been trying to weed through them on top of being a husband and a father. So let's see. Yeah, Christian B, from a video clip that I saw where they were dealing with Mr. Perry. They didn't pat him down. They let him empty his pockets into if I remember correctly, a clear plastic, like a Ziploc bag. So that's that's a very interesting thing. And folks, please welcome Frank Amadeo here.
Thank you, everyone.
Frank, the question came up about Aaron and his tort going against the city of Los Angeles or the Los Angeles Police Department. One of the questions I have is I personally, as I said earlier, from the statistics of it, most legal cases like that are settled out of court long before they get to court. I just, I don't think Aaron is the kind that's going to back down for that. What do you think?
Well, I agree with you, Poe. On Aaron's part, you see, Aaron is, of course, innocent. Aaron has an innocent mind. We know that from the mens rea. Now, the mens rea, folks, is innocent mind. Aaron has an innocent mind, so he's innocent on his part. The other guy is 100% guilty. So Aaron will be owning the city of Los Angeles by the time this is over, folks.
Thank you, sir. Let's see here. Art and courts. Question I think often lost in this conversation about Aaron's issue is the way the cops have historically treated protesters. It's clear to me they were scared with the numbers of people. My thoughts on it. Actually, I'm going to get into that as we watch the actual arrest of Aaron. And I'm going to call it an arrest because from the way that I was trained throughout the academy, and this was burnt into our skulls, is that you put someone in cuffs, put them in the car, and drive them to the station to be processed. That is an arrest. You also have the fact in the they have the statements that a junior officer was reading Aaron his Miranda rights, and that I believe it's Tallman is his name, with the RoboCop glasses on and bald, actually came up to them. What are you doing? No, get him out of here. Let's clear this. So a couple thoughts on that I'm going to bring up a little bit later. Question: if Aaron wins the fight, will the cop lose his job? That is all going to be dependent upon the department's rules and regulations, the laws in the state of California, or even the ordinances in the city of Los Angeles or Los Angeles County. I've seen bad cops, and we've all seen this. And I'm one of the first people that if I think an officer has done wrong, I have no problem calling them out on it. And we've seen it. It's been on national news. We had a guy here in Michigan who was terminated because he was having a relationship with an adult high school student, and he was the liaison officer with the school. He got terminated, went to another department, and then went to yet another department, and went right back to being a school liaison officer with the third department and the second one after he'd been terminated. That's been documented. Let's see here. At Popcorn Planet by Andy, you can find the video of the attack from another angle. Yeah, someone had sent me a link to that, and I'm going to take a look at it. It's literally, folks, there's been so much going on. Also, hopefully Wednesday night, I was speaking with Jeffrey Augustine. If you don't know who Jeffrey Augustine is, he and his wife, Karen Della Carriere, have been big in the Karen's former Scientologist. Jeffrey, I believe, was a short time in Scientology. Karen has a very long and historic relationship with the Church of Scientology. Just a doll babe. I love Karen to death. Jeffrey is a great guy. I love Jeffrey. But Jeffrey is he's the guru when it comes to where's the money going, where's it coming from. And the fact is, I got him coming in this week. We're going to do a live stream where we're going to be talking about the connection between Scientology and the L.A.P.D. And literally, the title of it is L.A.P.D. / Scientology, the money connection. So that's something we're going to be working on. Let's see here. Mandy McGee. Hey, Mandy. Ooh, cool hair. Feel bad for the dog. He shouldn't be used like that. I do not think the dog is a service animal. And, I made myself very clear on this. I don't believe there's a such thing as a bad dog. I believe they're bad handlers, bad owners. What do you think, Frank?
I agree, Poe. Thanks for asking. I agree. I think they should load up the charges like a Christmas tree. And, just like they're putting ornaments on a Christmas tree, should be charged with everything he did.
Yep. Let's see here. TFS 203. Good. I heard how Aaron was treated at the police station by the arresting officer. I was appalled. Well, I don't know if they actually got to the point where Aaron talked about that. It wasn't that they were going to handcuff him to the toilet. There was a metal bench in the bathroom that they were going to handcuff him to. What is the reason for that? You're telling me you don't have a solitary cell where you can put him in? We had one, and it was called the holdover. And that's where you put someone in, and you didn't want them being able to connect with other people in the jail. Sometimes you get people who get everybody just absolutely riled up. So we put them in the holdover. Now it was a small singular person type setup, and it kept him separated from everybody else. If that was the purpose of putting him in the bathroom, was to keep him separated from everybody else, you're telling me that they didn't have the ability to put him into a thing like a holdover. And he discussed the tank and all that. And I think that, my personal belief is you're going to put this man in there and you're going to handcuff him down in the bathroom. There's no reason for that other than, and some people have said, to humiliate him. And I think it was over and above, and it should have never been done. And from his own statements, you had a senior officer who was higher ranking, the Tallman, came in and said, whoa, 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 what are you doing? Get him out of here. That's disgusting. And then after that happened, Aaron states that Tallman came in and goes, yeah, this is disgusting. Why would you do that? My understanding is you're the one who ordered it. How are you now going to come in and go, oh, that's disgusting? Let's see here. Bad cops just get fired and rehired in other states until they screw up again. Not always true. But there have been a lot of situations where you have officers who will be terminated by other departments that will go on to other agencies. I'll tell you, one of the tricks of the game that I've seen officers use is that they're facing termination. They will turn around and they will resign in lieu of being terminated. And I've seen that not only in law enforcement, but I've seen it in other professions where they will give these folks the opportunity to resign in lieu of being terminated. And then they'll seal their records so that you don't know why that person was gone. I personally, as chief of police, would go to departments and check on not just chief. When I was working with the department I retired from first, I was the administrative lieutenant, and part of my job was doing the background checks on people who wanted to be new officers with the department. So I would go to those departments and I would personally review their personnel files, make notes on things as they went. And that way I would know what was going on. But yes, it does happen. It does happen. And we saw departments that were very low paying, and they were basically what we called revolving doors, because they would hire people would come in, get a little bit of experience, and then they would run off to another department because they were able to build up that experience. Well, those departments are always hurting for officers, and you'll see them actually taking on officers who've been let go by other agencies. Learning about life. Howdy, buckaroo. All right. I'll let you add the buckaroo to it. Howdy, howdy, howdy is my thing. No, I'm joking. I have learned the hard way. Anytime you don't say Aaron is perfect, you'll be targeted. I agree with you and do think Aaron can win, but police did what they had to. Well, we're going to go over some of these details in it. I personally said Aaron's not perfect. Aaron has said so himself. That's a fact. I've never been targeted. The thing is Aaron's my friend, but I'm also one of those folks that I got no problem admitting I have faults. I have no problem admitting I can be an a-hole. That's just how it is. And I have no problem if someone's my friend. Yeah, he can be a jerk. So, I don't have problem admitting those things. I've never been targeted. And, I think quite honestly, someone like Aaron would appreciate someone being honest about things. Marjan, question. Aaron was very polite. He told everyone to back up when the police asked for people to back up. He never tried to escalate the situation. That's not entirely true. If you listen to what he was saying and how he was talking to law enforcement there, he was clearly agitated and he was clearly worked up. Now, is that a bad thing? I said in last night's live stream that one of the things that I've lived by is the motto of the worst day of someone's life is another day in the office for a law enforcement officer. And I truly believe that, because oftentimes we're dealing with folks in the worst possible moments of their lives. Let's see. TFS 203. Why? Bad cops just get shuffled around to different departments. You can't get rid of a bad cop unless they're found guilty of a felony. That's well, misdemeanors also can stop that. But the fact is, you take a department that's uh, understaffed and they don't have money, they're doing whatever they can to fill the ranks, and they will do that. And then you have people who were not good officers in prior employment situations getting hired in by these departments, making their way up the ranks. So they got their second chance at it. You think they're not going to pass that on to someone else? It happens. That's a fact of life. And I hate the fact that it does happen, but you have these cities where you have politicians who are literally draining the cities of all their finances, and the police departments are left with the scraps. And so they're hiring in what they can get. And there are also departments that are in cities that have very bad reputations where nobody wants to apply to them. Here in Michigan, we have a city that is it's surrounded by Detroit, literally surrounded by Detroit on all four sides, north, south, east, and west. Most people don't want to work for that department as a law enforcement officer, but you have something like Birmingham, Michigan, which is one of the richest cities in the state. You can believe they don't have an end of the amount of people that are applying to it. So you have these departments that are literally begging for people to come work for them, and that's what'll happen. They'll take in who they can get. Let's see here. They chained him to a steel bench for 6 hours since they let him go without charges. Was that unlawful? I've got to. I thought it was 4 hours. Alfontainez. I hope I say that right. I'm not trying to butcher your name. But I thought it was 4 hours that he was in there, and my understanding is they got him up, they took him to the bathroom, they were going to lock him down to the bench in the bathroom, so it wasn't a complete amount of time that he was actually locked down. We don't know what was going on. Plus, you also have to factor in that they brought him in to process him out and let him go. And that's where the incident that Aaron talks about, where he said, I need you to look at me to acknowledge what I'm saying to you. And the fact is that I personally look at that as an intimidation factor in and of itself. Look at me. I want you to prove to me you're listening to me. You don't have to. You don't have to be nice to law enforcement folks. A police officer's peace cannot be disturbed. It's that simple. All right. There's no such thing as disturbing the peace of the police. All right. Because we're the ones who are supposed to be there to take and handle you using profanity, you being loud. It's when you're stepping on the peace of everyday citizens. That's where it becomes a matter of disorderly person and things like that. And Sarah Kay, maybe the cop wanted to intimidate him to drop the charges. May very well be. But the fact is that knowing Aaron and Frank, I know you know Aaron too.
Yep.
I just don't see him as the person backing down from a fight. So
I think, folks, one of the problems in Los Angeles is they don't train the officers like they should. They should have an extensive training program for the officers. This goes back to the early 90s with the problems in Los Angeles, folks.
well, and it's with a lot. You see it with a lot of large departments. There is corruption that happens. There are going to be bad officers. In, I believe it was either 1980s or 1990s, Detroit had a severe shortage of law enforcement. So they went on this huge hiring spree, and they failed to complete the background checks. The state was unable because they hired in so many at one time. They weren't able to actually do the proper background checks. There were a lot of convicted felons who were hired by the Detroit Police Department and went through the police academy, became certified law enforcement officers licensed by the state. Now, here in Michigan, when we say certified, actually what it means is you are a licensed officer. Your certification as a licensed police officer takes effect when a department fills out the proper forms. And now it's all online. But it used to be they would fill out all these forms. They would submit that along with your running your background and things like that. They would submit all that to, at that time, it was Malazzi, Michigan Law Enforcement Officers Training Council. Now it's MCOLS, Michigan Commission on Law Enforcement Ethics and Standards. And but they pretty much overwhelmed the Malazzi offices with that. And so it took, I think it was about 2 years before everything was found out what was going on with it. And that's when they suddenly started getting all these background checks. They're like, holy crap, this guy's a convicted felon. This guy's a convicted felon. This guy's a convicted felon. They had to go in and they literally had to fire these people. Their license as law enforcement officers in the state were revoked. It happens every major metropolitan department. And if it happens in the big departments, there's nothing saying it can't happen in the smaller ones. Let's see. Paula Candeloro. When they don't put what they are fired for to help the cop, they also put every person in jeopardy. I agree. In the situation where I was talking about, where the officer was a school liaison officer and was having a relationship with a high school student, even though that student was 18 years old, it's still a high school student. This is still someone who is in a position of authority over that young lady. And in all honesty, if they could prove that it was under a certain age in Michigan, under the SA laws, one of the factors that plays into it is that person a person of authority over this minor person? I personally think that criminal charges would have been the way to go for it. One Love, is there any dog experts in the house? I'm not sure Dog Man has a pit bull. Well, there's a lot of question as to whether or not it was his dog or not. But you have to remember, the whole pit bull name and moniker is set to a whole varying breed of dogs, and there are going to be differences in them, but it's generally a classification of the very muscular body stature of the dog, the large muscular head, having an extremely strong bite. I have lots of friends who have pit bulls as pets. They are some of the most loving, affectionate dogs in the world. The only dogs I really know of that I think are more affectionate and loving and loyal than a pitty are retrievers, goldies. And I hear labradoodles are awesome. I've never had one. But I have had a lot of personal experience with pitties that friends of mine own. I especially love the ones like the old Petey from the Little Rascals with that long Snoopy nose on and everything. I love that. Let's see, Linda's Walsh. He did not let the dog go by dropping the leash. Very clear in one of the videos. It should mean a lot in his case. Aaron had put his stick in the dog's mouth to avoid being bitten. That was smart on Aaron's part. And if you don't know, Aaron is a practitioner of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I don't know if he's currently still in training or not, but he holds a ranking belt. And he's a practitioner, and as someone who has been a professional mixed martial arts fighter, I know people who are BJJ folks they're pretty confident in their abilities, and they have good reason to be. Let's see, Leanne. I think the police were more concerned with Aaron and the TikTok squad because they were unknown. I believe Patrick is a frequent flyer with the police, and they know him and have dealt with him before. And that very well could be the case. Thank you, Leanne, for pointing that out, because that's something we also have to take into account. Aaron flew in and he got there at 9 o'clock that morning. All right, to LA. Yes, he's been to LA before, but if you have someone who's literally living in that area and deals with the police on a regular basis, there are a lot of people that I knew as a police officer that I would have friendly conversations with, that we dealt with all the time. Didn't mean they were good people, didn't mean that they didn't commit crimes, but we knew them. And that's just how it was. And oftentimes I could take, and I do apologize, I'm still having a lot of sinus issues. The thing is that oftentimes in situations like that, if I was going to arrest the person, they would literally just turn around, put their hands behind their back, or just walk right on over to the car for me and put themselves in, almost like Otis, from the Andy Griffith days. Mm-hmm. If you don't know what that is, look Otis up. All right. It was suspect that Tallman's name tag had no paint in the letters, completely silver, making it hard to read. I doubt this was a wear and tear, as other LAPD name tags have painted letters. You have to remember, here's the thing, a lot of officers are superstitious, and in a lot of circles within the law enforcement realm, changing out your name tag is something that they're very superstitious about. And so it may very well be. I still have my original name tag from when I started with law enforcement. And from all the years of polishing it with the flits and everything, there is no paint left. I was literally going in by hand and personally recoloring the lettering. And then over time, as I would polish it, it would all go back down again. So, Sam Fibro Fox. Last night was very scary to watch too. I wouldn't talk to the police like that. I couldn't. Aaron had huge testicular advancements last night to do that. Police literally just yawned at him. You know, I also want to talk about how some of the crowd was acting and the things that were being said as we go through these videos. So let's go ahead. I'm going to clear this one out. Let's go to the actual incident of arrest. Now, if you'll remember, as I was talking earlier, and I got my notes here, it was at 1 hour, 11 minutes, 46 seconds, by my estimation, on the timestamp of the video. That's when the police first contact came in with Aaron, but his actual arrest happened. And let's pull the screen up so everybody sees it. I believe that's the right one. Yes, it is. 3 minutes, 3 hours, 4 minutes, 47 seconds out of a 3 hour and 35-minute live stream. But let me hold on one moment. I think this is the wrong one. Let me go back and check real quick, as I think this is after Aaron had already been taken into custody. So let me make sure I've got the right one up here for you folks. I don't want to. All right. Okay, here we go. My bad on that. Yeah, I'm stupid, not technically sound on a lot of these things, but let's see here. Here we go. Now, this is 3 minutes, 3 hours, 3 minutes, 21 seconds into it. Let me take it to full screen and let's push play. I'm going to turn the volume down just a little bit because it gets pretty loud on that. But you see, they're coming to get me. You hear Aaron talking about they're coming to get me. You see the shorter gentleman right there. You have the African-American officer who is standing there with his back to you. The gentleman right there, if you can see my cursor on it, he's going bald. He has the dark hair. He has the white stripes on his sleeve. He's a sergeant. Okay. Now, if you notice, they were continually looking over at Aaron during the whole time. All right. So if you watch what's going on here, Aaron hands off his phone. He's pulled in, and if you watch the officers actually move into rank, this is what Jeffrey Augustine had described in the live stream that I was doing with Marilyn Honig as a phalanx position or a phalanx formation. Now, what is a phalanx formation? Well, it is something from back in the old Greek times. And what it literally is where you're going to build basically a box around the officers, and you're going to what you're going to do is, I'm going to pause it right there. And what you're doing is you're building this box around them as a security formation so that the officers who are doing the arrest, you're going to pull the person in. And I actually went through training for this in riot training and things like that. So you have officers who are going to be the formation officers. They're going to form a square around the person who's going to be arrested. The officers on that outside, their job is to keep people from getting in. You have what are the detainment officers who are going to go. They're going to take the subject, pull that subject into the formation while the other officers close rank, and they're literally going to lock up. And the whole purpose of it is to provide safety for the officers who are making the arrest. They're going to make the arrest. And then as you see, the entire group turns around and starts making their way on over to where they're going to put him in the police vehicle. And at this point, I think he was already in handcuffs. Then I'm going to play it on, and we're going to talk about this some more. Oh, wow. I'm still learning with some of this stuff with YouTube. Now, as you see, one of the reasons why, okay, look at the dog at this point. The tail's wagging, and if you saw in some of the live stream from Aaron, you saw the dog was laying there flopping around. He was having a good time. Now, here we go. Aaron is handcuffed. He's up against the cars. You have one officer, and this is a very
Don't worry
standard thing.
about it.
You have one
We got the
officer who's going to
cops
handle the
on
actual
that
cuffing
side.
and the pat down or the search. Now, as you notice, he's going to go straight down. He's going to check around the shoe area. He's going to check in the socks. He's going to come back up. He should do what's called crotching, and that's where you're going to come up and you're actually going to run your hand. And the proper way that you're going to do it is you're going to use the back of your hand for these things. Now, the next thing that you should see is that they're going to double lock the handcuffs. Hold on. Let's hear what this guy's saying.
Our passports were locked up as children. Is that normal for a church to do, to lock up your child's passport? By all means, advise.
Okay, so whoever this is, I don't know who it is. They're yelling out things about things that happened with Scientology in the past. All that is, and I can tell you from someone who's been in these situations as an arresting officer, as part of the crew that was doing it, that's just noise. Doesn't matter to them. More or less, what is being said appears to be more for the streaming audience than it is for anyone else. Now we see Tallman, who is right in the center here. That's actually a pretty good shot of him. Mr. Clean here coming up. He's got his Terminator sunglasses back on, making his way back up to the front of the crowd. And now, as we're talking about, you have one officer who's handling the actual search and making sure the handcuffs are double locked. You have a support officer to the left, and you have another one on the right. Now you have also officers who are in a security position who are keeping the crowd back and more up onto the sidewalk. There's a reason why they'll pull that car right into the middle of the street there and not have it right up on the curb. The reason for that is you can control that area. The purpose of it is that you're going to, anybody who wants to come down and be involved with it, and you'll see a lot of people are coming up over with their selfie sticks and everything, and they're trying to videotape what's going on. Well, by doing this, you can literally say, you need to get out of the street. Get out of the street. And people will say, well, you're in the street. Well, there's a big difference there. Drivers seeing, number one, the police car, and then number two, the uniform, that has a substantial difference. A lot of people were talking about how the officers looked, the way that they were standing there and the way that they were carrying themselves. I heard the statement that very arrogant or very aggressive type stance. There's a few factors that play into that. When you look at what is called the force continuum as it comes to use of force in law enforcement, the number one step in the force continuum is the officer's presence. And the thing is that just your presence as a law enforcement officer in and of itself is considered part of the actual use of force continuum. So that's not everything that these officers do, and hopefully they understand everything that they do from the moment this began to the moment that Aaron was released is going to be under scrutiny. There are bazillions of phones out there and actual cameras. Saw one guy had a beautiful setup with a really nice, I think it was a Sony camera that was a live streaming camera. Those are the things, all of that's right there. And there's a lot of high diff that came out of this. So let's continue on with this. Now, here's the thing, is that when they were leading Aaron away, I saw Talman was with the dog man. And as they're walking away with Aaron, I actually saw Talman leading him up. So they're going through the process right now. And this is where I personally have an objection to what the L.A.P.D did. It doesn't matter if they know the person who's involved. Normally, if I have a situation where someone that I have dozens of encounters with, and they've been someone that has never given me a problem, and I'm arresting someone in conjunction with an incident with that person, they're both going to be treated exactly the same. One of the problems I saw with that is you take Aaron and you're going to take him over, put him in handcuffs with his hands behind his back. You're going to put him up against the car. You're going to search him or pat him down. But yet the other person who you have the cane, my understanding is an expandable baton, and then 5 knives on the person, along with being in control of that animal, that dog, wasn't in handcuffs. And from some statements from some other folks who saw from different angles of it. Apparently, he wasn't put in handcuffs when he was put into the car. So this all right there, it shows some kind of there's a difference in the way that you're handling one subject as compared to another, and that's not right. You need to show consistency, and you need to do it as per the training and the department regulations. Let's see here. M341EHW. Thank you for £5 super chat. I think that's $350 US, isn't it, Frank?
Wow, I think so.
Yeah, it's big money here in America. But thank you. I don't mean to make light of it. I just try to keep things on a lighter kind of feeling here, vibe. Is it routine LAPD procedure to drive off with a radio on the police car roof? No, it's not. And if you knew how expensive those daggone radios are, man. But you know what? I in all my years, I've seen a lot of officers who have left them on the top of the car and drove off, and they've fallen off. Those things are designed so that you could literally take them on top of like a 10-story building and just drop them, and they'll hit the ground and they won't break. So that's not it happens. It's stupid stuff. But yeah, that's just someone not paying attention to what they're supposed to be doing. So we're going to continue on with this. And right now what I'm seeing is a common thing. You have the officers that are going to stand there, even Tallman, who I know that a lot of people are not, and there was a really nice camera over to the left there. But
the
Tallman,
best of the best are coming. Y'all have to be dealing with our lawyers pretty soon. I hope you really explain.
Okay, this right here, our lawyers are coming. You're going to have to deal with our lawyers. You're really going to pay. You notice they didn't even pay any attention to that. You know why? If there's an officer out there who's been on the job more than a year and hasn't been threatened at least 10 times that they're going to be sued, lose their career, lose their badge, everything's going to be taken away from them, I don't know where they're working. All right. We get sued all the time. The reason why it goes back to that statement that I made about a day in the office for us is the worst day in the life for a lot of people. And also, as I've spoken about in other live streams, is that television and movies really give people a skewed sense of how things should be with law enforcement. So people are always making, you're going to lose your job. I'm going to make sure that you go to jail. It's noise. That's how we look at it. We don't care. We don't want to hear it. My biggest thing has always been that I want to make sure I'm doing my job properly. My job as a law enforcement officer is a servant and protector of the community. And I took that very seriously. And to be in service, I always, it didn't matter to me if I could be dealing with someone who is suspended license driving or someone who's suspected of armed robbery. I'm still, yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. I'm going to treat them with dignity and respect. Because the thing is, my job as a law enforcement officer is not to distill punishment. My job is to enforce the law, serve the community, and protect the community. And I can't take my personal views and observations into things. And that's just how I feel. Is Colonel Brock in here? Thanks, Colonel. Not true, Haley. They're not bothered because cops are never held accountable. Not true. There are officers lose their jobs every day of the week. And quite frankly, there's a lot of them, and I'm glad to see it. A lot of them are being outed through live streaming and through things like YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, X, all that. I'm glad to see bad cops being outed and being held accountable for what they have done. So saying they're never held accountable, it's just not true.
And that's a very small percentage of police officers, Paul, right? That are the bad cops.
Yeah, 99.9% of officers are trying to do the job, trying to do it the right way. But the fact is that there are a lot of folks, everything that you do, there are going to be people who get into it for the wrong reasons. That's just how it is. They were bullied in school. They want to prove that they're the big person. They want to prove that I can make you do what I want. It was never like that for me. I always looked at it as being someone in service. And, as everybody knows my background, went into the military, came out of the military, moved to Michigan and went into law enforcement. I really didn't know what else to do with my life. That was the only thing. It was my drive. It was my dream. It was my goal. Let's see, Sarah K. Most cops are good people. If you treat them with respect, they will treat you with respect. I agree, but I disagree. They should be giving you respect, even if you're disrespecting them. Granted, everybody has a bad day, and it happens. Um, let's see, where's Iodine 63. I do not think officers are trash. Most are doing a good job that's difficult. Some should lose their job. Exactly. And as I have said, I said at the beginning of this video, I've said it 1,000 times. There are bad police officers, and they deserve to no longer be law enforcement officers. It's that simple. Let's see, Steel Pip. Most of the time, when police are called on the protesters, they show up, talk to the sign, okay, then leave. It seems to me many of those officers are doing it by the book. Let me also explain something as it pertains to the calls. Okay. I understand that there was a call of a possible bomb threat that had went on in some of the earlier protests or some of the earlier A1 audits that were going on. By the way, next Sunday, I'm going to have Nasty Nathaniel on with me, and we're going to go over the differences between protests and A1 auditing and how there is an actual difference with them. And sometimes those lines get skewed. So let's see. Ketamine XX. All right. Officers with any self-respect left during the COVID era. Only that's just stupid. That's just stupid. It's not the truth. Okay. Neo-fascists. Actually, go get a dictionary or go on Google and look up the word fascist. All right, look it up. All right. And, because you had a run in or you saw some videos, all cops are fascists. Please go look it up. Please get an education, educate yourself on this. I don't come in here and say every Scientologist is a piece of garbage. No. Why? Because it's not true. What I say is that the organization Scientology, I have no use for whatsoever. The people who are fair gaming me, who are going through my trash, going through my mail. By the way, I still hope you are enjoying those Roscoe chocolate drops that I'm putting in the trash. I hope you're enjoying those. But that
it's just that you're that famous, Poe, that they're going through your mail and your garbage because
I believe that in what someone was saying that it's because of my connection with Aaron and the support I've shown for him and being on his live streams as much as I have. Question: cops were called out for a man with a gun, no arrest. Cops were called out for a BOMB, no arrest. Got assaulted and he got arrested. Why? All right. You show up. Well, first off, with the call for the threat of the BOMB, you got to show that there's actual that first off, you have to, whenever you get that kind of call, you have to take the appropriate response and go. The first response isn't to go arrest someone on a call in of a BOMB. The first response is to get there, secure the area, look out for anything that would be a potential for that item. And oftentimes, I mean, look how easy it is to get out there and actually use a burner number on a cell phone or something like that and hide the who you actually are. So sometimes arrests aren't possible with that. As for a person with a firearm, it's going to be a matter of, do you see the person that's there? Have you found a person with a firearm? If they have a firearm on them, is it a legally registered firearm? Are they licensed to carry that? And it's all dependent on the state. Some states have open carry. Michigan has an open carry law. As long as you meet the qualifications to purchase a firearm, you are over the age of 18 years of age, you have no background that would prevent you from being able to purchase it, you are allowed to openly carry it in the state of Michigan as long as it is registered to you. So having one on your hip and walking around, I personally, even when I'm carrying, when I was full time and now when I carry, I try to, I don't want it out there. I don't want people seeing it. All right. I know how it makes people feel to see someone with a firearm on them. So the thing is that we have these situations where you have folks will call in, they see someone like that, and they it's they call in, they're scared to death. It's understandable. Officers have to respond, but if things are legal, then there's a reason why the person may not have been placed under arrest. Rachel, I have worked with UK police for over 30 years, and this has made me feel ashamed that this happens. Where is the cop on cop accountability? Well, it's more than that. The problem is, it's not just, there used to be what they called the Brotherhood of the Blue. We are the biggest gang in the world. And I always hated that. A lot of officers really like that motto of we're the biggest gang in the planet. I don't like that, because we're not supposed to be a gang. We're supposed to be servants. And it's shameful when you see officers who are not doing what they're supposed to be doing. That really it burns me up. So the police on officer accountability. There are a lot of folks who they will toe the line because they're afraid of losing their job. There are a lot of times that I actually turned in when officers did wrong. I did what I was supposed to do, and I went to those above me. If they did nothing about it, yeah, there was a lot of times I would go back and I would call them out on it. Why didn't you do something about this? Now this person's gone further and done something even more that's going to get us either sued or that's going to cause a lot of problems. Why did you not handle it when I told you there was a problem? What happened? Sometimes I got in trouble, but you know what? I wouldn't keep my mouth shut. I just didn't play that game. Buckled Up Buttercup. I like that name. Question: if a complaint is assault and the person has been punched in the head, aren't the police obliged to give medical care? No, they are obliged to ask the person if they want medical care. But if the person says, I don't want medical care, that's one of the things you have to remember, is that if a person refuses medical care, you can't make them, unless it's something that you are obviously showing that this is a situation where they are unable to make that decision themselves. The only other time is, say, a felony DUI or DWI, depending on where you're from. You're going, or a second degree, something higher than the initial, or their here's how it works with DWIs. Persons hit their head while they got into an accident, hit their head. You're going to take them, you're going to get a warrant, you're going to go in and get their blood drawn, and at that point you're going to have them get medical attention. Unless they are severely injured, then you're going to get them straight to the hospital. But if it's not something that's appears to be life-threatening, and that's going to be a call of EMS on the scene. But 9 times out of 10, you're going to leave them handcuffed to the gurney in the back of the ambulance, and then you're going to follow them to the hospital. You'll have them being treated at the hospital, get the warrant approved by a judge, and then you'll take the blood draw. The great thing about that is, while they're there getting medical attention, they're already drawing blood. So you're just going to have them add on to the different tests they're going to run on the blood. Let's see, Robert Van Leer. Everybody, please respectful. You don't have to be. Thank you, Robert. First off, thank you. State what you believe. If I don't believe it, or if I think that it's out of line, then I'll call you on it. Let's see. I'm not even trying. I'm sorry. Why didn't a cop see a crime and file charges? Because it was another cop. Now, believe me, in a lot of these departments, these guys fall in rank and file. Let's see here. Is it legal to put a service dog vest on a dog which is not a service dog? It's going to come down to a lot of different things. Some states have that. I've had people go, no, federal law says, but the fact is that, what can we, it's such a messed up world with the way the things are. We had folks that here in Michigan, and I believe it's still the policy, if you have a medical cannabis card, all right, you can show it to the officer. This is my medical cannabis card. All right. You can't run the card to see if it's valid or not because it violates HIPAA law. So it's crazy, but it's all in protecting people's rights. So yeah, there's going to be differing opinions on all of these, folks. I understand that. And I believe in freedom of speech. I believe that you should be allowed to voice your opinion. I also believe that if you voice your opinion and I find it something that's insulting, derogatory, or just not true in the first place, then I should also talk about that. I should also point that out. It's not a matter of, well, you showed me, I showed you. No, it's a matter of if it's something that I personally know is not true, would it be wrong of me not to say it? So, no, Aaron, that's not true. It's not the fact of the card itself. It's the fact of they got it for a medical reason. And we were specifically trained on the fact that you can't look them up and verify the validity of the card because it violates the HIPAA laws. That's how it came about. And I'm not arguing with, but that's how it works. And this one is something that I heard about. Christine Delahoy. Tolman only trains recruits. The thing is that as an FTO or field training officer, as they call it, the thing is that with the field training officers, you have the right to override officers under you. All right, whether it be a training officer or anyone who's lower ranking. And oftentimes, where you have officers show up who are field training officers, that officer and the officer that they're training are going to be given lead on a situation. Why they'd be doing it on a potential situation where you have people protesting, things like that, I don't know. I don't agree with it. I think that that sergeant who was on scene, and if you look there, he is the one standing to the right of everybody who's going through this. That's the sergeant there, and I think that he should have been the one controlling it. I also have another problem with the fact you have officers who are reported to be on the phone with detectives, going back and forth with detectives. You have a sergeant on scene. All right. You have several officers on scene, and you have a lot of officers who are not rookies, who have time on the force. All right. You should be able to make some kind of judgment call while you're on scene. Whether or not I agree with it, whether or not I agree with how they handled anything, the fact is that you're professionals. You should be able to do your job. I, as a sergeant, would go, as I've said before, I would go to try to go to every call that my officers were on. The simple point of it, two reasons. One, safety, security. Number two, make sure that things are being followed by departmental policy, by constitutional rights, by the legal aspects of the law. The thing is that I, as a supervisor or a command officer, would go to these scenes and I would just check and make sure everything's good to go. It doesn't mean that I'm there to just get over and force everybody to do what I want. But in a situation like this, where you have this many officers on scene, the highest ranking officer should be the one who's delegating what's going on. But it appeared that Tolman is the one who's making all the calls. As an FTO, should he be doing that? I personally would not have allowed that. If I was the sergeant on scene, I wouldn't have allowed it. But I also know people who are supervisors, especially road supervisors, that would turn around and let that happen. And the reason for it is, well, I didn't make the decision. He made the decision. I've got all this other stuff going on. I've seen people do that. It happens. It's the fact of life. And you also get folks who get up there in rank who are getting closer to retirement and suddenly start becoming lackadaisical, less concerned. I'm almost there. Let's just get this day over with and get on home. Will this shut down the L.A.P.D? No. Is this going to cost them money? I would probably think it's going to. There's just too much It's already making the rounds nationally and internationally. It really, uh, in my opinion, it really gave a black eye to the LAPD, and it brought a lot of things into question. And as I said, Jeffrey Augustine is going to be joining me soon. Hopefully on Wednesday, I'll be able to have Jeffrey here, and we're going to talk about the money connection between the Hollywood division and Scientology. And we're going to be pointing out a whole lot of things. Do I think that there is undue coercion, whether it be through money, whether it be through allowing officers to work off duty for substantial amounts of money, work security off duty for organizations? My point on it is, I've said it before, my thoughts on this whole thing with the Hollywood division and how everything's been handled with this is they need to go in and raise that division and take it right down to square zero, and then build back up from there. Get everybody out of that division, push them off into other areas, and you need to come in with a new command staff, new patrol staff, new detectives, all around. Start fresh, clean slate. That's how you take away the black eye, the dark mark, whatever you want to call it, the bad vibe, the look that things are unethical. That's how you start doing that, is you take out the bad apples by taking out the entire bunch. Put them elsewhere. If they've done nothing wrong, you're literally just transferring them to other units. But the thing is that you have to make sure that you are doing what you can to rebuild the ethics and the honor of that agency. And to me, that is very important. If people don't believe that you are an honorable, ethical organization, then that's a problem. Colonel Brock, is LA too blue? I don't know if it's too blue, too green, as in money, or if it is they've just got used to doing certain things a certain way, or you have people who have gotten into higher positions, or the simple fact that they think that they can go out and do things and then they can't be held accountable for it. You got to remember, a department this size probably has thousands of complaints coming in a month against the officers. That's another thing I was talking about the other day, is that this should not be investigated internally. It should have an outside agency, whatever California has for a state governing agency that does these kinds of things. They should be the ones who are going in and investigating it. And you need trained professionals who know how to investigate. All right. And believe me, here in Michigan, I've said it before, if there was something that I thought needed, very simple, an officer is involved in an accident. The officer was not at fault. We know that. I would call in the state police and have them investigate it. Why? It takes out any question as to whether it was a legitimate investigation or not. Very simple. It was, you have this agency who is above us in authority and standing, and they're the ones who are doing it, and they're doing a professional investigation on it. If there's any question as to the ethics that are involved in it, they're going to be the ones who are going to have to show this. I did this. I did this. I did this. Everything is by the book. This is how we did it. And we don't worry about, this is an officer. This is not an officer. None of that should come into play. That's why I say, do not allow for internal investigations on something like this. Bring in an outside agency and make sure you hold credibility in what you're doing. So, Frank, what do you got to say, man?
Oh, I agree with you, everything, Poe. And there should be, like I said earlier, there should be more training for the Los Angeles Police Department.
I've said it before, and literally when I went into interviews before I was hired and appointed as chief of police, my biggest thing is training. Whether it be outside agency training, sending officers out to be trained in different schoolings or things, or you're making sure that the officers are going through continual training. I've talked about the fact of when officers in firearm training, how it's so heavy and how you continually keep doing the same movements, the same motions. The reason for that is it creates muscle and mental memories to where when you get into a situation, you're not worrying about, oh man, how do I do this? How do I do that? No, the time comes that it has to be put into play. You automatically do it through that memory. So, any closing thoughts here, Frank?
No, I think we covered everything, Paul. I appreciate.
I hope so. Yeah, I personally, I believe that there was there are a lot of things that call into question the credibility of how this whole thing was handled. I think that there's a lot of problems, and the Lions won. Oh my goodness, this is so out of character. Let's see. A name. Could Patrick Perry be a fake name used as a police informant? It explains why nobody found his arrest record. That's a good one. There's a lot of people who do use fake names, and if he is an informant, he may be falling into that category where they could be covering up for him. I mean, let's be honest. You have someone who's walking around with a cane, walking around with a dog that has a vest on that says service animal on it. They pretty much are going to blend in with the surroundings. No one's going to look at them as a threat or as a potential informant for law enforcement. So, I mean, that would be perfect. And it would be a reason why there would be a reason why it would be a possibility. I don't have any factual basis to go on with that. But yeah, that's a great question on that, and that's a great topic. I have heard there are gangs in the LA sheriffs. I've heard that there have been what you call members of certain gang associations who have made it into the ranks. Hopefully they get weeded out soon enough. But they found that also in U.S. Border Patrol and Customs and Immigration, that there were people coming in from some of these cartel type organizations were getting hired in, and then they were working within federal government organizations. I always get an education here. Well, thank you. Like, I try to keep it not only as an entertaining thing, but I also try to keep it as informative as possible. And that's one of the reasons why I make sure Chad's here with me, because sometimes I get too deep. I get too into the gloomy side of things, and he'll jump in and say a joke and break it all up, and I need it. WFO, I don't know what this says. Most police don't know the amendments they are supposed to uphold. Where's your proof? Where's your proof? Okay. That's one of the things we go through the academy and we do is we actually train on the amendments to the United States Constitution. That's one of the things we know. All right. So saying they don't know them, come on, show proof of it. My belief is they don't know it. Yeah, that's another thing creepy. Watching, and I'm going to go through that hopefully in another live where we talk about him being talked to by another live streamer and talking about, what happened in the way he says it. And it's, from what I saw, very, very different from what the actual live stream or recording from Aaron's live stream. So
don't forget, folks, after this is all done, Aaron Smith, Levin Smith will own the city of Los Angeles.
Let's see. I'm looking right now to see. Let's see. Nope, there are no other there are no other people within the SPTV verse that I'm actually subscribed to. They're going live right now. Let's see. Back of Beyond. All cops think they are lawyers. They are far from it. Proof. Again, proof. My personal thought is police officers think they're lawyers. I've never thought I was a lawyer, and I've made it very clear I am not a lawyer. I am not a legal expert. All right. But we have to know criminal law. All right. There's a big difference between being an attorney and being trained in and certified or licensed by your state as a law enforcement officer. Part of that is you have to know the criminal codes. And that's, that's the thing. Yeah, and him proof is in all their A1 audits. You know what? Nasty Nathaniel just did one recently where the officer pulled up, said, "Hey, how you guys doing? I've seen you guys before. By the way, I'm just going to let you know, people have been calling about you, so make sure you're safe." Did that guy violate Nasty's A1 audits? And then does that also debunk the fact of, isn't all of their A1 audits, or 1A audits, A1A? We, that's the thing. Let's see. There are no lawyers in foxholes. Yeah. I mean, when it hits a fan, nobody's really questioning whether or not you have a master's degree in the law. All right. The thing is that get your job done, do it right, do it with ethics and honor. That's the main thing. Protect and preserve the sanctity of your community. That's what you're supposed to be doing as a law enforcement officer. So, folks, thank you again. As always, I consider it an honor that you would spend your time with me. All right. We will disagree. We're allowed to disagree. We're allowed to have differing viewpoints on things. All right. Put them out there. That's why the folks who are saying the negative things about law enforcement that they are, I go ahead and put them up there and I read them out to you. Why? Because you have a right to have a voice also. I have a right to disagree. I have a right to call you on it. When you make statements about all other 1A audits, prove it. Well, when I just brought up the fact that I know that there are a lot of 1A audit videos out there showing officers standing up for the constitutional rights of those doing the auditing. So not all do it. All right. And the fact is, folks, I appreciate each and every one of you. Please remember, life is short. We get one shot. Make it count.